You sit in a room full of people and still feel alone. Not because something is wrong in the room, because your attention never stops scanning what everyone else ignores. You walk into a small gathering and choose a spot near the edge without thinking. Music is playing. Chairs scrape the floor. Someone laughs too loudly in the corner, and your eyes keep moving before your body settles. There is no single reason to leave, but your system is already calculating when leaving becomes reasonable. Something in you stays active the entire time. Not anxiety, not fear, just constant registration of everything happening at once. You don't try to do it. It happens before intention forms. And by the time you notice it, you're already slightly tired in a way no one else seems to be talking about. You usually don't explain it. You just call it, "I get drained easily in crowds." That explanation feels simple, but it doesn't really describe what's happening. What's happening is quieter and more continuous than that. In the next moments, you'll see what your mind is actually doing in that space, and why it costs more than it looks like it should. We start from the first thing you always do without noticing it. Block 1. You showed up. Then, something inside you quietly started looking for a way out. The party around you is still lively. People are talking, laughing, completely immersed in the moment. You are smiling, nodding, and responding out of polite habit. But your eyes have already started scanning the room, unconsciously searching for the exit. You discreetly check the time on your phone. This is the third time in 15 minutes. Inside your head, a familiar internal battle begins. Maybe I should just stay a little longer. You blame yourself. You start to think that maybe you just hate socializing, or that something is wrong with you. But that is not true. Research shows that your brain starts measuring cognitive overload long before your conscious mind realizes you are tired. The truth is, you were already leaving. The exhaustion started long before you actually went home. And the strangest part is, nothing actually went wrong. Most people hear a conversation. You hear the room. When you are in a crowded space, you are not just listening to the person in front of you. You simultaneously catch the faint laughter behind your back. You notice the sudden shift in tension between two people across the room, and you see right through someone trying hard to pretend they are fine. All at once. Your attention is constantly jumping, scanning every tiny social signal around you. You are not distracted. You are just absorbing everything. Your brain acts like a radar, operating at maximum capacity, quietly burning through your energy without you even realizing it, leaving you with nothing but a vague, lingering thought. I didn't even do much, so why am I so exhausted? And that is exactly where the cost begins. Your body reacts to load before it reacts to danger. A crowded room creates a massive tax on your nervous system, simply because too many inputs are competing for your attention all at once. The shifting lights, the ambient volume, the constant movement, the endless sea of facial expressions, and multiple layers of overlapping conversations. The mechanism is simple. Your brain is forced to constantly prioritize and reprioritize what to focus on. Nothing is wrong with the machine. Too many tabs are open. Stress triggers and exhaustion sets in, even when there is absolutely no danger around you. The problem isn't fear. You are just left wondering, why am I so exhausted when nothing bad is happening? But the story goes further back than the room you're standing in. You may have been practicing this for decades. Reading and scanning your environment is often a habit that started very early. Even as a child, you could immediately tell when the adults were stressed, no matter how hard they tried to hide it. You always knew something was wrong before anyone ever said a word. As you grew older, you dreaded the crowded school hallways, and you felt completely drained after big family gatherings. The thought in your mind was always, I always noticed things first. The mechanism is simple. Your brain learned to scan and read other people's emotions as a natural reflex to protect yourself. Nobody taught you. You were reading rooms before you had the words for it. The cost is that this high alert became the default state of your nervous system. And because nobody explained it to you back then, you had to explain it to yourself. The behavior was real. The explanation wasn't. Because you always wanted to go home early, avoided large gatherings, and needed total solitude to recharge, your brain looked for a simple explanation for a highly complex feeling. You labeled yourself with a single thought. Maybe I just don't like people. And from there, a false identity began to form. That was the mistake. The truth is, you didn't have a social problem. You had a processing problem. Here's the part most people never notice. The thing that truly exhausts you is not the social signals you notice around you. It is how you automatically react to them. When you see the person across from you get slightly uncomfortable, you immediately adjust your tone and cadence to match. When the tension in the room rises, you unconsciously try to say something lighthearted to make everyone feel better. A familiar thought crosses your mind. If nobody fixes this, maybe I should. You got involved. You weren't just observing the room. The mechanism is simple. Your brain is trying to manage the emotional state of everyone around you. The cost is that you are quietly carrying a heavy responsibility that nobody ever asked you to hold. And that changes everything. What if exhaustion is not evidence of incapacity? When you have to leave the party early, when you crave quietness, or when you need a lot of time alone to recharge, you often blame yourself. A heavy thought loops in your mind. I always thought this meant I was weak. The actual mechanism is simple. Cognitive resources are always finite. You are not weak. You are just running a high-capacity processor. A different cost. You reach your limit honestly, after your nervous system has worked tirelessly to process thousands of surrounding social signals. Failing to respect this natural boundary is what truly pushes you into deep exhaustion. This burnout is proof of the massive volume of data you processed, not a limit on your capability. And there is one core thing you have probably misunderstood for years. The same trait changes shape in a different environment. When you step into a deep, one-on-one conversation, when you immerse yourself in nature, enjoy a quiet space, or lose yourself in creative work, your sensitive radar stops being overloaded. The mechanism is beautiful. Your innate sensitivity works best in low-stimulus environments with less noise and chaos. Here, there is no cost. You catch what others miss, feel the deeper layers of life, and create unique value. A peaceful thought crosses your mind. This is where I feel like myself. That's the difference. Your sensitivity is expensive in noise and valuable in clarity. The very thing that makes crowds overwhelming is exactly what gives you your depth and makes you who you are. What about you? Where do you feel most alive and most like yourself? Share your story in the comments below. You were never overwhelmed by crowds in the way people assume. You were carrying a level of continuous awareness that most systems simply don't run at the same intensity. And that awareness always comes with a cost, even when nothing is wrong. You are not someone who struggles with people. You are someone whose attention never fully shuts off in social space. You don't enter rooms. You enter everything happening inside them. Think of one place where you feel noticeably lighter after leaving. Not comfortable. Lighter. What is different in that environment compared to crowded ones? Share it if you notice the pattern clearly. If this feels familiar in ways you didn't have words for before, there is more we can break down in the same direction next time. Some people leave rooms. Some people carry them a little longer than they realize.